Minicamp is kicking off at Allen Park. And
Take
Woodward
two.
Sports will be
Here we go.
all week to cover
Here
the
is
action.
the video from yesterday.
While there are upwards of 20-plus players out today, Dan Campbell assured the media earlier before practice that there is nothing to worry about. Dan Campbell traveled to Grand Rapids over the weekend for his daughter's volleyball tournament and shared the fan energy over on the west side of the state. And he also gave us an insight onto some questions that he received from fans along the way.
Went to Grand Rapids this weekend for my daughter's volleyball tournament, which was awesome. Does Frank Ragnow really bring an axe into work every day? Yes. Can Hutch really dance in real time? No. Somebody asked me about Lee McNeil. Does he really drink Michelob Light? I said, no.
Goff continues to grow with the Lions. Dan Campbell today touched on how he believes he's settling in and knows what they want to do. So much so that he said that Goff is stronger with the Lions than he was with the Rams.
I mean, he's a better quarterback than he was there, in my opinion, because he can do more things. He's mentally on it. I mean, we've come light years ahead of where he was 2 years ago when we walked in and just start teaching him protections and really, dove into that.
Let's take a peek at what's going on out on the practice field today. Closing out day one of media availability at Mandatory Minicamp, I'm Gabrielle D. Phillips with Woodward Sports Network.
So that was the first day back with everyone there out on the field. Yesterday Monday they had media day, so that's where you're seeing all the pictures of Goff and the
You put that
chains.
together, didn't you?
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank
Did you get that soundtrack at the end from 50 Shades of Grey?
I did not. That was a Noah choice. Noah did choose the smooth jazz.
Of course it was Noah.
Keeping everyone calm while we're all getting really hyped up from the mini reel that he put together.
Oh, yeah.
So it was good, though. I mean, hearing Dan Campbell speak before, especially on Grand Rapids, and he went out there and all the energy and how excited he was. And they did say that they are talking about how they could potentially get some practices over to the west side of the state and see what would happen there. It's just talks.
That'd be good for the fans,
but I think it
to
would
be
be
honest.
great. I think him going out there and interacting with the fans out there, he saw that firsthand. But they are talking about it. There's no plan in motion yet, but they are talking about it, and I think it would be awesome.
I mean, a lot of the fans that have to drive all the way down to Detroit for the games on Sundays, that are committed, that'd be great. I'd be down for 3 days of the week that are up in Grand Rapids, wherever the hell they want to go.
Yeah.
Logistically, they got to figure that out. I mean, there's so much equipment they have to haul.
Yeah.
But
I think it would
it's a
probably
good
be
idea.
more of a summer thing or maybe an OTA thing.
of course,
next year.
before training camp starts.
Yeah, because they got to
sure.
get all logistically get it figured out too. Where they're playing, what's the field looking like Dan mentioned too.
Yeah.
So a lot that goes into it, but yeah, Grand Rapids.
I'll tell you what, I think my favorite takeaway from yesterday was the whole Jared Goff saga.
Yeah.
So before we get to him looking like, 50 Cent or Dan Campbell talking about his time in LA to compare it to what he is now, I actually want to bring up his contract situation. So we're not really talking about it much.
They brought up.
It's kind of I know, but we're kind of just letting it go under the radar right now. No one's going to talk about it. Nobody wants to acknowledge it.
I mean, it was acknowledged, and you saw how he reacted yesterday. He wanted nothing.
Well, that's my
to talk
point.
about it, yeah.
Of course. Well, nobody wants to talk about it because you don't want to come out this early and say he's our guy. Not that he isn't. He probably is internally. And then he comes out and throws 18, 19, 22 interceptions and regresses, which nobody expects. But to me, it's probably by week 4, week 5, we're going to hear a lot about contract extensions heating up.
Right.
But if we want to throw a poll in the chat, how comfortable are you, no matter the number, with a Jared Goff contract extension? And I think right now, it's hard to say no to the guy. No? Gabby? He's probably going to win the division this year. Throw for 4,000 yards, 25, 26 touchdowns minimum, 12 to 14 interceptions at most. He's going to have a quarterback rating about 98, 99, maybe 100. He's going to have a good season, and it's a good football team. So you guys tell me, are you comfortable with the conversation of a contract extension?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with the conversation. I'm not comfortable with the answer. How about that? Because Dan Campbell, the confidence he gave Jared Goff, especially in that press conference, I love it. And he mentioned how Sean McVay, it's something that Jared never really had in LA, the backing of his head coach. He's had different OCs, different quarterback coaches. I know Sean McVay was the OC, but in Detroit, Jared has full 100% support from Dan and Brad. So that's amazing that they back him. They have confidence in him. That's what he needs. Now, if you're talking about realistically giving him a contract right now, I think it's ridiculous. You wait, see how he plays, and if he has a good season or he starts off having a good season, maybe you can bring up contract extensions. But still, right now, he had really his first breakout year in Detroit. I think it'd be stupid to hand him a contract right now, and you could end up like Dak Prescott, where he has these seasons, you pay him,
like Lamar,
and he regresses.
Right?
Potentially Lamar, but we don't know. We'll see this year with Lamar. But at least Dak, I have data. I mean, that contract they regret.
Of course they regret it, but as the years go on, Dak will never earn more than that. So it'll balance itself out if he's a long-term solution, right? Because he'll never get more than $45 million a year, ever. You look at Jared Goff. Let's say Jared Goff starts off the season with the Lions 5-2, 3 interceptions in 8 games, or 7 games, excuse me. He's off to a really good start, putting up great numbers, efficient, leading the team. Value's going to be pretty high. And again, I'm only thinking from a financial standpoint. Would it be easier to give him one now or offer him one now before you go and win the division, before you go and make the playoffs? Or would you rather do it at the end of the year once you've seen everything, which I'll probably agree with you on, but you've seen everything, you've taken it in, and then another 2-3 quarterbacks probably have been paid during that time, and now his market value has gone up 5% automatically because of everybody else, and another 5% or 10% because of his performance. That'd be my question.
Yeah, and that's the risk you have to take, but in reality, you have to take it. Because if you give Jared Goff an extension right now, and let's say the Lions don't make the playoffs or he struggles this season, now we're living in regret. And depending on how long they sign him till, and we talk about a 2-year extension, which I think is fair. I don't think I wouldn't go farther than that because, again,
2-year extension after this season?
Yes.
So he'd have 3 years left on his deal.
Essentially.
Okay.
Because at least with that, at that point, you'd know by year 2 of that contract that if Hendon Hooker's your guy, you could figure it out. I think it's stupid to just assume Hooker's that guy, don't give him an extension, and just hope Hooker becomes Jared Goff. I think it's smart what they're doing. They're allowing, Jared Goff, they're believing in him, giving him all the confidence, allowing him to lead, not putting pressure on him like Hendon Hooker's taking his spot. But still, it's up to Jared. I don't have a problem waiting and potentially paying him a little bit more. I think it's worth it rather than giving him an extension now and looking at yourself or
I would agree
looking
with
at his
that
contract like, what the hell did we just do?
Well,
especially if he struggles.
I don't think you want to have a situation, unfortunate, and God forbid, I don't think anybody, none of us at least, expect it to happen, but what if they go 7-10 and he doesn't play well? And he maybe costs you 2, 3, 4 games. And you're like, dude, we're a quarterback away. And you just gave him $45 million on a 2-year extension. You have him 3 more years. There's no really way out. And at the end of this year, and you had it really this year as well, this offseason, there's an out. You can get out of this contract for relatively nothing. Won't hurt your cap space. So I don't mind waiting.
What about the people that said, well, Jared might take a discount?
I think...
Because let's see if he'll actually take a discount.
Well, you know what? Mahomes came out and had that conversation. He wants to win. He wants to be surrounded by really, really good players. But he also wants to be paid, what he believes he's worth. So there's a balance. And I think if I'm Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, whether it's before this season starts or at the end of the year, you sit Jared Goff down with his agent. Hey, guys, we're willing to talk a 5-year extension here. We want you to retire as a Detroit Lion. But we're not going to be able to have this conversation unless you're willing to play ball in terms of your salary. It's not going to be the Lamar, Daniel Jones. And again, you have this open, transparent conversation. And if Jared Goff is looking for the $50 million a year deal or 48, whatever it may be, I don't know. You got to make a tough decision, Detroit. Whether it's a shorter term or you just cut bait, I don't know. But I find it hard to believe Jared Goff isn't the quarterback for this team, not only this year, but next year and the year following. He's here for the next 3 years. How do you let a quarterback that's top 15 in the NFL right now just walk out the door?
Well, that's the key thing. Top 15.
Even if you believe in Hendon Hooker. even if you do, Hendon Hooker's an insurance policy. It's not your 401k where, you're banking on this at the end of your retirement.
Right.
Hendon Hooker's if the car crashes in Jared Goff. So.
And here's the question, too. If you wait for Goff, depending on what Goff asks for, because we don't know, realistically, they haven't really had conversations. If you wait for Goff and he plays well, how much more does the price go up? That's probably the question.
$3 to $7 million annually.
I would take that risk for that increase. Now, if he's asking for 50, whether it's now or later, hell no. I'm not paying Jared Goff $50 million because you mentioned it, he's a top 15 quarterback. But that's right now. He's playing like a top 10 quarterback. I don't know what Jared Goff will look like next season. So, again, I know that's the easy cop-out answer to wait and see, but it's true. You don't want to be tied up in a big contract to a quarterback that you don't believe you can win because of. That's the thing, Jared Goff, I think, this season, even if they win games and he plays well, you can look back and, after this season with more talent and see, did we win all these games because of Jared Goff strictly, or did we win with him?
Well,
and
let
if
me
you're
ask
winning
you,
with
go to
Jared
last year.
Goff, I'm
Go
not
to
paying
last
him
year.
$50 million.
8-2 down the stretch. Why were you winning those games?
Well, part of that was Jared Goff didn't turn the ball over. But also, since week 7, the Lions averaged, they gave up 18 points per game, that defense. So
great.
Defensively, they got better.
So you have a formula to win.
Top 5 offensive line, a lot of support.
You have a formula to win.
You do.
He's a good quarterback who can be very good at times. He's a good quarterback that with the right circumstances can win a lot of football games. He can win 60-65% of his games if you surround him with the right pieces, if you coach him the correct way. You have that, potentially.
But also listen to the narrative that the team, the coaches, and the office have all been leading with is, yes, we were good last year, but there's still this year. There's still those games to come.
Yep.
And I think that translates into this contract conversation. I think if we're looking at the narrative from everyone throughout camp, throughout all this media attention, throughout the draft, yes, we had great momentum last year, coming off of last year, but we have to be able to make that happen again. And if they make that happen again, then that's going to look very good for Jared Goff. But if they don't, then the Lions need to be in a position where they can say, okay, maybe not.
And this isn't a shot at Jared Goff, but I want to see Jared with high stakes. Like the Lions this year with the expectations they have, if he plays as well as he did last season with these expectations, he wins the division, he wins a playoff game, or hell, he even competes in a playoff game and you almost win a playoff game, whatever the scenario is, at least then you can be like, okay, like even when the stakes are highest, when expectations are at the all-time highest in quite some time, Jared lived up to it. Right now, like last season, it was winning games, and they did it. But
I think we're way ahead of ourselves. And I don't think that's fair from you.
Doesn't mean he earns $50 million.
I don't think that's fair. That's
what's not
taking
fair?
Jared Goff, right, who in his career has proven he can manage and be part of those big moments, but he'll never be one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. So why even give him an obstacle or, a data point where you want to measure him by, when the stakes are high? Well, there's a lot more than the stakes are high when it comes to the quarterback because he's not that. We know he's not that. And that's why a team-friendly deal, something where the team has an out, this is going to be – his contract is going to be the center of attention after week 4, especially if they come out 3-1. He's coming – he looks good. There'll be a lot of talk with this team. So whether or not you have to pay him after the season, I don't know. And all I know is I wouldn't put that expectation that you agree with me on this. You don't win because of him. Maybe once, twice, 3 times at most a year. Maybe.
Yeah.
And that's being generous. But usually you can win with him.
Yeah, you ask him, don't turn the ball over.
Good offensive line, good run game, wide receivers, a good defense. You give him a top half defense, he wins you 8 out of 10 games.
And that's true.
Coaching stops fumbling games in the fourth quarter, he wins you games. Coaching makes the right decisions, puts his team and players in better positions, you start winning games. I get not wanting to pay Jared Goff that money. I get it. But don't sit there and try to compare him to one of the 7 best quarterbacks in the NFL or 6 when we know he isn't. You just be very self-aware of your situation. Do you get better or worse with Jared Goff or without him?
And like Brad
Keep
Holmes
that in
said,
mind.
it's a lot easier to downgrade. So this isn't a shot at Goff, but you, at least I hope you understand the hesitancy I have to give him a full 50, 45, $48 million contract per season based off 1 year.
That's fine.
Like there's
That's
hesitancy
fine. I'm with you.
there.
I'd wait till the end of the year too.